Got another Sony camcorder here. This one's a Hi8 model, CCDTRV715. And this one literally fell apart. Literally. Screws fell out, chassis came apart. I didn't even know if this one was going to go back together. We have to completely disassemble this one, find the missing screws, reassemble it, and get it working. I have a Sony. This one's a CCDTRV715. This is a Hi8 XR. XR meaning extended resolution. They pulled out all the stops and they tried to give the Hi8 format a little bit better quality. And how they did that was they gave it a better CCD basically. They gave it a higher end CCD, precision CCD. Because what had been happening was Sony was not wanting to harm their DV market. So the Digital 8 camcorders and a lot of the Hi8 camcorders of the day when the DV cameras were out were given less than perfect CCDs. They actually dropped the resolution there for a few years because they did not want to compete with their other high-end cameras. And there was some backlash because people, would notice that, hey, these weren't looking as good as the older ones, but they brought it back, a high resolution CCD and a few other tweaks to the circuitry to basically give the Hi8 one last kick at the can to improve its quality back to its glory days, because when Hi8 first came out, the quality of it was excellent. It was basically broadcast quality, and there was broadcast Hi8 cameras on the market. So I'm just going to plug this thing in and see that I deafen everybody with headphones. Okay, the camera part is working on this unit. So I don't know what the problem with it is. That's why I'm checking it out. We'll go to the playback side of things and see whether it plays back. Oh, you know what? Oh, it might be this switch. Might be this switch that's bad. That's bad if it's the switch. Let me grab a remote control. Got a handy dandy remote here. Is it sending out a signal? Well, one quick way to find out if my batteries are any good is to put this thing into night shot. Wherever the button is on this to do it. There we go. Yep, it's putting out a signal. See? Night shot. Take out the infrared filter. You can see the light. So let's see if this thing will play. Okay, it's turning the camera on. I don't hear the drum spinning up. Is the drum sticking? I grabbed the old one. The drum is definitely spinning there. Play. Okay. Now it's working. I guess the drum was stuck there. So this is working. This camera works, except... Oh. That's not good. And the play button doesn't work, so let's see why that's loose. That might be just a screw that's missing, or sounds like the drum wasn't spinning there, like it got stuck. Maybe there's something wrong with drum that's sticking when it stops, sticking to the tape, but the fact that this is loose indicates that there are screws that have come out on the chassis. That's not good. Looks like the whole chassis come unconnected. I think this one has to come apart, but it does play. It's just that the buttons on the top aren't any good, and that could be a problem just because you can't get the button assembly. But maybe it's just come unplugged. Ah, boy. Let's pull this one apart and see what damage is done on the inside of this one. I'll tell you one thing you don't expect to see. You don't expect to see these chassis coming apart like this. This has got to be a first for me to see that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Obviously it does, but I've never seen it happen where the chassis has come loose like that. Okay, the front nose cone should pull off the front of the camera. If I've got all the screws, which I think I do. Nose cone should lift off. And unplug. Just like that. And a couple more screws in the back here. Oh, that one's already out. Take this one here out. I have a sneaking suspicion somebody's been into this camera just because of the fact that there are screws that are missing already that I haven't removed. One more screw down here. And it pops apart just like that. We'll unplug the connector here and this one. Plug that connector. Maybe not. It's got tape on there that holds this wire bundle in place and this connector in place, and usually when that's serviced that tape doesn't get replaced. But there are definitely some screws missing. Okay, that's that taken apart, and this cover should come off now too. That comes out, and then there's one more screw that holds this in. The side cover on right here. And then it's held in place by there's a connector that has to come undone. So we take that one off, and then this comes off, and we undo that connector there. There. That's how you tear these cameras down. Unplug the power block. Now let's see why this is coming apart, because there's obviously a screw that's come out, and I don't see any screws that have fallen out of the unit, so there's actually a couple screws that have come out that we got to put back in to hold the chassis in place. So let's do that before something gets broken. block off. Oh yeah, these screws are loose. I think this camera's maybe been in a high vibration environment, and some of the screws have worked their way loose. I guess the ones that held the chassis together have actually fallen right out. I want to remove the circuit board so that I can put the screws back in to hold this chassis back together. I don't want the chassis falling apart because it'll affect the timing. I think one of these ones has to come out. Not sure which one. One of these screws holds in place there. That one comes up. That'll lift the camera block off of here. That plug, and there's two plugs up here that I need to undo to lift the camera off the board. Lift this one out. And this other one. Okay, now I got the camera out. You can see the screw that's missing. There's one screw right here that's missing. We'll just put one of these other screws in just to hold this chassis together, and I'll have to find some screws to replace. That'll hold that part of the chassis together. There's another one on this side that I gotta lift the board out to put the other screw in down here. We'll undo the connector for the video output here. So I can lift the board out. And I should be able to pull the board out of the way. Oh, I gotta undo the power supply. Okay, to the power supply board. I should be able to lift this board down and out of the way. I'm only interested in getting it enough clearance that I can put a screw in there to hold that chassis together. So I just basically need to just get a little bit of clearance here. And I probably have to take off this bottom panel to do that. All these screws are loose. Jeez. Like, how do they build this one on a Friday? Where'd they make this camera? Made in Japan. Okay. Probably have to undo all these connectors just because I will. I'll have to unseat them all to get the board out of the way. Okay, now the board should swing up and out so that I can put the screw in that's missing. It holds the chassis together. Oh, the screw's still there. This one didn't fall out. This one just came loose. So we'll just put that one back in. There we go. Now the chassis is back together. Now I can put the board back in. Cool. Okay, that has the mechanism sort of back together. Now, I was having some stiction problem with the tape. I think it was sticking to the drum. It might have been because this mechanism wasn't in the right position, but that is ready to, we can try it out now. All I gotta do is plug the power supply back into it, and the that should make it work. I should be able to get it to run now. Before I put all the rest of the screws in, I want to see if it'll play. Okay, put this side on, as I need the eject button and everything, which is up here. So I gotta plug this one in, and we'll attach this side for now for testing. This is the ribbon for the controls. If the play button doesn't work, there's not a heck of a lot I can do to make it work, because you're not going to get this part. You should never find a new one, maybe in a used camcorder, but if it can be run with a remote control, then that might be what needs to be done. Is the owner of it will have to locate his remote, or find a universal remote or something. It's a standard, any Sony remote control. The neat thing about Sony camcorders was all the Sony VCR controls that came with the VCRs could go to VTR 1, 2, and 3. Now, by default, VTR 1 was where the beta machines all were set up, and VTR 2 was the default code for 8mm, and VTR 3 was the default code for VHS. So any Sony remote, or any universal remote that can be programmed for Sony VTR2 mode, will control camcorders. So that's a good thing, because the remote receiver on this is still working. I haven't plugged it in. I think it's on this board here, if I'm not mistaken. But it will work it. It will work it. I think I've got enough plugs pushed in here now that I can power this thing up and see what it does. Okay, now I gotta put this piece on for the power switch. Gotta plug this one on for the power switch. Okay, should have power now, and plug in the drum was sticking a bit there. Hey, play works. The button works. Fast forward works. Rewind works. Pause works. Stop works. Play works. Excellent. What I'm finding is that if the drum stops, it's sticking. I try to start it, and if I give the drum a bit of a turn, picture. So why is that drum sticking? Could be something on it. It could be dirt. Let's just try cleaning it. It could be dirt that's sticking to the tape, or something sticky on the drum that is causing it just to adhere. So let's clean the surface of the drum with some isopropanol and a Q-tip. We'll just clean it off and let it dry and see whether we still have an issue with it. And this might fix this camera. Wouldn't that be something else? Just a couple of screws that fell out from the chassis. I am avoiding the heads, by the way. I don't want to touch the heads, but I do want to clean the upper surface of this drum because something is sticking. Oh, there's something right there on it. I can feel it with my finger. It might not be dirt, it might be burr. When this chassis was loose like this, the drum may have made contact with the chassis. Because it felt like a bit of a burr there. Might have been just dirt. It seems to be gone now. Whatever it was does not appear to be problematic now. I'm going to let this dry for a while before I put a tape back in. Why is that? Taking the tape out. Oh, got stuck. Okay, will it start up? Well, head drum's still sticking. If I give it a bit of a push, it's sticking to the tape. It's sticking to the tape. I thought I got that clean. Obviously there's still a film or something on here that's causing it to stick. See, if I start it up before the drum comes to a complete stop, it's fine. But if the drum goes to a stop and stops, oh, that time it started up. Excellent. Maybe it'll just clean off. I'll run a cleaning tape through here, see if I can polish up the drum a bit. Get some of the, must be just a film or something that's on the surface of the drum that's making it stick. I'll just run my cleaning tape through for maybe 10 seconds or so. Hopefully this will polish off anything that's on the drum that's causing it to stick to the tape. Okay, let's try that. Let the drum stop. And see if it'll start up. Sticking. That noise you hear is the drum trying to start up, but the tape is actually sticking to the drum. If I eject it, drum spins up before the tape loads. If I hit the play button before the drum stops, it'll play. I'm just going to let this thing play this tape through and see if it'll clean up, polish that drum some more, get whatever is ailing it that's causing it to stick off of the drum surface, because I've cleaned it with isopropanol and it's still whatever is on there it's sticking. I don't know whether it's something that's sugar based and isopropanol won't clear it up, but something is sticking to the tape when the drum comes to a stop. Okay, I left the unit playing for a while, for like an hour, and now I've stopped it. Let's see if it'll start up. Let's see if the debris that was on the upper drum has cleared up, which it has, because it's now going into play. It just polished off basically what was on the head drum, a film of some type. Could have been anything. It could have been smoker's film, could be anything that's on there. But stop it. Press play. The unit starts playing in perfect condition. So now let's reassemble. Put this one back together. Close up the tape compartment and let it load, and then we'll assemble the unit. There's going to be a couple screws missing. Well, there's going to be one screw missing because I put one screw that was missing from the chassis. I took one of the other screws to screw that chassis back together. The other one was still in place, so I didn't have to rob two, but I did have to rob one screw. So I'll have to find a screw from something else to replace it, or it'll be going back with one missing screw. Actually, it's be more than one missing screw, because there was a couple screws missing from the cabinet when it came in. So it'll be going back with, I'm sure, a screw or two missing, unless I can find some. I should have some screws that'll fit this thing from old cameras and stuff, right? So steal some from another old wrecker. They're all the same size. Put this one in here to hold the battery compartment in place. There you go, that one's in place. I gotta get the tripod clip back in place, and of course plug in this other plug up here for the viewfinder. I think that one's for the viewfinder. And then the camera just pops together just like that. The front cover someone's been into this camera before, because normally there's a sound deadening material, like a piece of rubber that fits over top of here and sits in here like this. This here is the these are, by the way, the gyro sensors for the steady shot, one horizontal and one vertical. They sense the movement, but there's normally a rubber, like a foam rubber pad that fit in here. It had a slot cut in it that went over this flex cable, and what that was is that was to deaden sound, you know, from the camera from getting to the microphone. That was to deaden the sound of the drum and the motors and stuff from being picked up. Night shot mode, little switch here. This is probably one of those night shot ones that can be modified. Maybe not. This might be a little too new for the infrared cut filters. Goes on just like that. Now we can start putting some screws in to hold the cabinet together. Wait a minute, I think there's one screw that goes down through the top here, I believe. Which one is it? It's that one. It went there because the other screw goes down through the top, goes down here. And another one on this side. Okay, what screws are missing? Got those ones. Because I've used all the screws that were here. There's one over here. That's the one. That's the one that was missing. Okay. Let me find one from an old camera. I just happen to have a couple of old cameras kicking around that I can steal one from, I'm sure. Maybe one on my bench here from an old camera. Oh, there's one right there. There, I think that's got them all. I think all the screws have been replaced now. Except the two cover ones, which are in the cover here still. Okay, that's done. Now watch this thing not work now that it's all put back together. I turn it on to camera mode. Little flip out screen works. Camera appears to work. We'll do a test recording on it in a minute, but let's make sure it plays back first. That's the soundtrack with that aquarium video that I did. My aquarium. To be played in place of my aquarium when all the fish die. Which are still hanging in there. There's still a few of them left. Anyway, it's playing, as you can see on the big monitor. It's looking good. Let's do a test recording. Over to digital, and there was nothing on it. It was supposed to be golf, but it wasn't. It was actually just, they had forgotten and left their camera running, and it was just a recording, well, a shot of their whatever it was sitting. That was the whole tape, was just that. Okay, let's switch this to camera, and we'll do a test recording. So we're recording now. There it is, record. Testing 1, 2. Zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. That's working. And where's a night shot? Night shot, there we go. This might be one of the ones that can put the switch in between with that filter. Okay, so that's recording. Let's see if it plays back. We'll press the playback button. Here we go. There's playback. It's me switching the night shot on and off. One of the ones that put the switch in between. 100% operating, good as new. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.